What's up, guys? How we doing?
All right, well, we're going to open up to the right. Stephanie Odie, 97.1 The Fan.
Coach just talked about how he thinks that you'll have more confidence after this game and that he's even tried to rattle you at practice, but he just isn't able to shake you. Can you just speak on your gameplay in those moments?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big emphasis, and I say it every week. You know, obviously you don't want to have the turnovers and the bad plays, but the thing is you know, it's going to happen. It's football, and you know, you're not going to be perfect, and that's just the reality of being a human being. And it's all about how you bounce back. And in my long career, and one of the things that I've learned is that, you know, you can't let the play before affect the next play. And I think I've gotten a lot better at that as I've grown and gotten older and just had more reps and more experience. But you know, he tries to emulate that at practice, and he tries to get in my head, and you know, he tries to make practice harder than the games, and he does. And I think we do that as well. You know, we push ourselves in practice so that it is truly harder than the games. And then you can come out here and just play free and not worry about things. And you know, just the confidence that I have right now, especially with the guys I have around me, like stuff like that's not going to shake me, you know. And I think I've done a good job of that thus far this season. Obviously, don't want to have, you know, the pick there and the turnovers, and that's, you know, got to clean that up. But you know, in the moment, what you have to do is you have to move on, and I think I did a good job of that, and I think we as a team did a good job of that.
Over to the left, Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Well, it seemed like whenever you were going to hand the ball off to Trey or Quinshon, you could get 4 or 5 yards at least every time they touched the ball. What kind of confidence does an offensive line that dictates pace like that give you, whether in the run game or in the pass game?
A ton, man. That was a huge emphasis coming into this game. You know, we knew we needed to be physical, play downhill football, and go at them. And I think our O-line took that challenge and ran with it, man. And those dudes are bad SOBs, man, and they're coming downhill and just rocking people off the ball, and I think they're playing really, really good football right now. They're just continuing to get better every single week. I think they played really well last week. I think they played I haven't watched the film yet, but I think they played really, really well this week. Love you. Who was that? Mech. Love you, Mech. But the overall, man, those guys are playing their butts off, and then, you know, I mean, you let Q and Trey do the rest, and you know, we say we want to have our O-line get 2 and our backs get 2 every single play, and you know, I think our O-line's getting us 4 and our backs can get us, you know, 60 plus. So I mean, it's good, and I mean, our O-line's playing at a really, really high level right now, and you know, across the board, I'm really proud of those guys.
Noah Weiskopf, The Lantern.
After that first half, what was the message to the team in the locker room?
I mean, I wouldn't say anything was really different, man. It was we just came out and we said, you know, it's a new half, and you know, we always put the emphasis on that middle 8, you know, and ending the first half the right way and starting the second half the right way. And we did not execute the middle half in the first half, but coming out of the halftime, going down, getting a score, you know, getting a couple turnovers, like that was huge. And that was, you know, our emphasis was like, we have to come out and start fast. We got to go down and get a score. You know, we deferred so we get the ball first. And then we got to come out and get some stops. And I mean, the defense played an unbelievable game today. And when you got a defense that's going to shut them down like they did, I mean, it's hard not to win a lot of games.
Andy Backstrom, Letterman Row.
Talked about earlier this year, there's Open and then there's Ohio State Open. How much did that factor in the red zone with Emeka, and just where are you at with kind of adopting that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's one-on-one, you know, they're open, and I've said that, and you know, I have all the trust in the world in those guys, and I've seen them do it in practice. You know, it makes my job easy when I can throw a ball to Emeka on that corner route, that last touchdown that we had. Wasn't a great throw, honestly. You know, we'd practice that play on the hash mark, you know, where I had a little more time to throw that, and you know, we have it in the right middle, so it's a little more off the hash. I got to be a little quicker with it, and I left it a little inside, and Mac made a great play. And you know, it's just like things like that, just giving guys chances. And I mean, JJ, like that one-handed catch is, I mean, it's stupid. Like it's you know, you just let them go make plays, man, and it's fun to watch. It's easy, and you know, it makes my job pretty nice.
Over to the right, James Watkins, Cleveland.com.
Well, you've played in big games before, which means you've played in games before, big games before, trap games, some people say. What do you think you learn about a team in these kind of moments and what did you learn today?
Yeah, we said this coming into this game. You know, we were going to learn about this team. We're going to learn a lot about this team and our toughness, and our our ability to block out the noise and go down and get to work. And we knew we had a big one coming up this week, but we knew that this was a big one too. And I think our ability to just come out there and play some smash mouth football a little bit. I think we started well. The first quarter we only had one drive, but it was 14 plays, and we went down and scored. And the second quarter, just 2 turnovers, a turnover on downs. We beat ourselves. It's never the other team beating us is us beating ourselves, but it's all about how you respond. And we came back and we did a great job. So I'm proud of the way that we played, but we got a big one coming up next week, so I'm excited.
If we can start to wrap up with Donovan Jackson in the back, please. And we got 2 more questions for Will Howard up front. Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, everyone has been pointing to this Oregon game all season. Iowa's obviously a test. How well prepared are you guys? How do you feel going into that game with all the stakes?
I think confidence-wise, we feel great. We've continued to iron things out and get better every single week, and I think that's true. I think we've learned a lot about ourselves and about this team. I think going into this game, we know that it's a big one, and I haven't really looked at it yet. We knew that this Iowa team was going to be a good team, so I mean, I looked at it a little bit, on the bye week, and I started checking them out and seeing what they're about, and I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a good challenge. Played against Dylan a couple times. He's a great player. Their defense is good. I know Coach Lanning is a good coach, and he's gonna have them ready. So I'm excited to get home now and start watching some film and get ready for these guys.
And final questions for Will. Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, just real quick, Will. The way the first half ended for you and stuff, was there an inner monologue going, "Hey, I'm better than this"? I mean, you know what I mean? Or
Absolutely.
did you just get straightened out, I guess, at halftime? And then number 2, since I won't get another question, you and Dylan Gabriel, 2 guys from the Big 12 now going against each other in a Big 10 showdown. Just what does that mean to you?
Yeah, man, it'll be fun. Going into halftime, I was pissed at myself, because I feel like it's uncharacteristic, putting the ball in harm's way like that. I want to be safe with the ball in my decision making. I'd like to hang my hat on that, and it's just like, but at the end of the day, man, like, you just got to flush it and move on, and you can't dwell on it too long in the moment. We'll go back right now, and I'll go watch the film and gonna be critical as possible and say can't do this, got to be better. But in the moment, like, it's very, very, very important to just move on and brush it off. And then, going into next week, with Dylan, man, I actually, in 2022, we played at Oklahoma, and that was Adrian was still playing, so I never actually have got to play against Dylan, but I know him. He's a good dude, man. And, I got one of my boys from K-State's one of their safeties, so I'm excited to go out there. It's gonna be a fun game, man.
Great. Will, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Go Bucks.